Welcome to Disaster Preparedness class. This is number 4 in a series of 7. I am Ann Forrest. There's my email, and I'm very glad you're here. So we're going to talk about utilities after a disaster. Last week we talked about water and how to turn the water off either in the building you're in or out in the street. The reason for that is if someone forgets and turns on the water in your building or flushes a toilet, you're going to potentially pull in contaminated water from broken pipes outside your building. That's why you turn off the water. And turning water off and on is not a big deal. You don't have to worry about doing it. You don't have to call the water company or anything. Very, very easy to do. But we're going to talk about gas and also electricity today. Like we said before, when the earth shakes, pipes break, and that's all of the pipes in the ground. It's the water pipes, it's the gas pipes, and it's the sewer pipes. I wanted to show you this picture. This is wooden pipes, which is how we used to get our water from those watersheds to the Seattle area. Yeah, wooden pipes. Who knew? Here's another picture of wooden pipes. And this is a section of a wooden pipe that was taken out in 1991, I believe it says. They were supposed to last for 20 years, these monstrous wooden pipes. This one lasted for 60 years. I read it somewhere, and I should have captured it at the time, that the last wooden pipes in between us and our watershed only got taken down like a few years ago, like less than 10 years ago. So they lasted a very long time. They did an amazing job. And then we're having to replace them. So after an earthquake, this is your priority list. You check on people and pets around you, and then you manage your utilities. Water, we talked about that. Always turn it off. There's no reason not to. You can turn it back on once you find out if pipes around you are working and all the water in them is clean enough to drink. So we're going to talk about natural gas, and it's a big one. And we'll also talk about electricity and how to handle that utility after a disaster, after an earthquake. So fires are super common after earthquakes, really, really common. In fact, in Seattle, as in many, many areas, the fire department kind of has the lead after an earthquake because they really need to get those fires under control as quickly as possible. And those fires happen after earthquake because of natural gas leaks. Fire department coordinates the immediate response after a disaster, after an earthquake. So we really need to get a handle on our utilities and not let things get any worse. So I'm going to play you this video.
It is vital that all household members know how to shut off natural gas. Start by finding your gas meter. If you have natural gas service, a meter like this one will be located somewhere outside, along the perimeter of your house or apartment building. Next, make sure everyone knows when to turn off the natural gas. You only want to shut off the natural gas if you have some reason to believe there is a leak. Either 1, you smell natural gas, which is a sulfur or rotten egg-like odor, or 2, you hear natural gas leaking, which will be a hissing sound. If you do believe that there is a gas leak, locate a wrench, which you will need to shut the gas off. Make sure everyone knows where to find the wrench in your home so they can quickly access it. You could even keep the wrench outside, located with the gas meter. Make sure you regularly clear debris and bushes to make sure that you have an easy path to your gas meter. Locate the shutoff valve. The shutoff valve looks like this. When the gas is on, the valve is parallel to the pipe. To turn the gas off, place the wrench around the shutoff valve and turn the valve 90 degrees until it is running crosswise to the pipe. You can turn the valve either way, just as long as you stop when it is running perpendicular to the pipe. If you have turned off your gas, for your safety, do not turn it back on yourself. Contact your gas company to do so.
Well, hopefully you understand where to find your gas meter and how to turn it off. Shut off your gas if and only if you smell gas, which is a sulfur or rotten egg smell, or you hear it hissing. Turn off the gas, get out of there. You don't want to turn off your gas unless you need to, because you don't want to deal with not having gas running to your house if there's no reason. So only turn it off if you suspect a leak. Here's some tools. Find something that fits that valve, switch, whatever, on your gas meter. Find something that fits it and then secure that tool somewhere near your gas meter. Maybe in a plastic bag hanging off of the gas meter, something like that. You want that tool nearby. If you ever need to shut off your gas, you need to shut it off quickly. And you don't want to be rummaging around in your junk drawer or workbench or whatever toolbox looking for the right tool. So find a tool now that works and secure it to the gas meter so that you have that tool when it's necessary. And don't zip tie it to the gas meter unless it's a really long zip tie. You want to be able to get it to the valve as quickly as possible and turn that gas off because it's dangerous. Don't turn the gas back on once you've turned it off. You turned it off because you suspected a leak. Don't turn it back on until somebody has come and fixed those leaks. We're going to talk quickly about a seismic gas shutoff valve. And this is what it looks like on the screen. It's that red box. So it's in between your gas meter. So here's all the dials. It's in between your gas meter and the building. So it's this separate little device. It's a mechanical device. There's no electricity running to this thing. This is a seismic gas shutoff valve. Again, I'm going to play a video.
Do you know where your gas meter is?
Maybe. I think I do, but I should ask.
Yep, our gas meter. You see, when the earth moves, so will our furnace, water heater, and gas lines. Just one crack could send natural gas pouring into our home. Just one spark, and our house could go up in flames.
If you look at damage resulting from earthquakes, gas fires are far and away the biggest cause of that.
That's where this comes into play.
This is a mechanical valve.
It's called an earthquake automated gas shutoff valve. In the event of a magnitude 5.2 or larger earthquake, the device automatically shuts off your gas.
So there is a steel ball that's seated in a pocket. At a certain amount of shaking, that ball drops and it plugs the flow of gas.
So no more gas flowing into your home.
So that one is called a seismic valve. And it's called seismic because you have to have an earthquake for it to work. The ground has to shake enough for that ball he was talking about to drop down and cut off the flow of gas. I think he said magnitude 5.2. Somewhere else I looked was 5.1. So somewhere in the magnitude of a 5 earthquake is about what it takes to knock that ball off of its seat and make it stop the flow of gas. The city of Seattle does not install those. That is an electrician that you would pay separately to get that done. Someone asked a really good question about maintenance. So A, do they work? B, is there any maintenance involved? So I really appreciate that question because I've never been asked that one before. To my knowledge, this kind of gas shutoff valve and the other one I'm going to talk about are both super effective. I haven't seen any evidence that they don't do a really good job. As far as maintenance, I couldn't really see anything, but I would definitely talk to some company that installs these and just see if you can't sweet talk them into coming out and talking to you about it. Are there any gaskets that need to be replaced? Is there any, valve that needs to be lubricated or something like that? Is there any maintenance to be done? And B, you want to know how to turn this back on. That's the value of these shutoff valves. Let's say your gas meter is really close to the street and some kids are out in the street and they're playing soccer when somebody kicks a ball and it hits your gas meter and it feels like a magnitude 5.1 or greater earthquake. Your gas is going to be shut off to your house. The beauty of this device is if you know that a soccer ball caused it and it's not an earthquake that broke gas pipes, then you can turn the gas back on to your house. You just got to figure out how to do it. And I'm not an expert on these things. So I think it's worth a call, even if it costs you a couple bucks. Get somebody out there to take a look at it, maybe do a test on it, and then show you how to put that ball back up on its seat so that if, heaven forbid, it ever gets knocked by something, construction workers or whatever, that you can turn the gas back onto your house. So that's the seismic valve. Again, it reacts to shaking. Oh, and that's a picture. The one we just saw is the one on the right. I've also seen quite a few folks have this same kind of thing, but they're very similar. They both have a steel ball that when it's shaken enough, drops down and stops the flow of gas. So here's your second kind of shutoff valve. It operates very differently. It's called an excess flow valve. It senses the pressure or leaks in the gas line. If there is too much gas flowing past this thing, this little device, then it will sense that and it will shut that valve. And here's a picture of it. Very simple little device. It's just inserted in the line. Two different devices. I don't know much about costs or anything, but they're probably installed by the same kind of people. Not a bad idea to have both. They do solve different problems. We're talking about managing utilities after a big disaster like an earthquake. We've talked about natural gas. Let's talk about electricity really quickly. If you need to turn off electricity, you're going to turn it off the main fuse box or the electric panel, and you turn it off. And again, it's similar to gas. Turn it off only if you see sparks or broken or frayed wires. If you don't see any of that going on post-earthquake in the building you're in, then leave the electricity on. There's no reason to turn it off if you don't have to. So do a little inspection, take a look at how things are looking. And if you think the electrical system's in pretty good shape, then don't mess with turning off electricity to your building. Oh, the other sign that there could be a problem is if you smell burning insulation, which is kind of a plastic smell. So again, I'm going to show you a video.
Electrical sparks could start a fire, igniting natural gas or propane fumes or other combustible material. Downed wires can also create a risk of shock or electrocution if a person comes in contact with energized lines. Teach all responsible household members how to shut off the electricity to the entire house. For your safety and to prevent electrical shock, always shut off all the individual circuits before shutting off the main circuit breaker. When turning electricity back on, first turn on the main breaker while all the individual breakers are off. Then turn on each of the individual breakers.
If you're turning it off, turn off the individual breakers first and then the main breaker. And then reverse that if you're turning it back on. Turn on the main one first and then the individual breakers. Be careful. If there's any water around your fuse box, don't go over there to mess with it. Okay, figure out how to do it differently. Soak up the water. I don't even know how to tell you how to do it, but make sure you do it safely. You do not want to be standing in water while you're messing with electricity. So as a review, natural gas, turn off only if you smell gas or hear it hissing. Electricity, turn it off only if you see sparks, have broken or frayed wiring, or smell burning insulation. And then water, always turn it off because it's so easy to turn it back on. And it's just better to be safe than sorry. Turn it off until you know for certain that water pipes around your building are intact. Okay, we're going to go to sanitation, the second topic we're going to talk about. Again, when the earth shakes, pipes break, and we are talking about sewer pipes. If you have turned off the water to your building because you don't want somebody flushing the toilet or turning on the tap and bringing in that contaminated water, it also means you have no water coming into your building, which means you have no flushing toilets. And we all poop, and this is an issue that happens immediately with the earthquake. And when you think about it, it is a long-term problem. Sanitation failure is immediate and it is long-term. And the reason it's long-term, think about this. If only Seattle is impacted by an earthquake, that's one thing. We only have so many pipes that are broken in the ground that we're going to pull out. I say we, I mean the city, that the city's going to pull out, and they're not going to put cheap pipe back in. They're going to put earthquake resilient pipes back in. That's the hope. Granted, they want to get things up and running as fast as possible. But if you're going to all the trouble of digging up old broken pipes, let's put something down that's going to last through the next earthquake that we have. So if only Seattle is looking for those resilient pipes, that's not too bad. But if the subduction, this Cascadia subduction zone, the one that's off the coast of Washington and Oregon and California, if that fault line rips, then many cities and states need that, are going to want that same resilient pipe. So we're all going to be scrambling to get enough of this stuff so that when we repair our pipes, we do it smartly. So that's why it's a very long-term problem. A, getting the pipes, B, because it's underground, C, because there's just so many. So we are going to be dealing with sanitation issues for a very long time if the earthquake is strong enough. So guidance from the city on how to handle pee and poo. They're going to ask you to double bag your waste, double bag your poo. They want you to store it safely outside in a designated bin, and they will pick it up eventually. Basically, that's the plan. And then we can talk about how to implement that a little bit more, just a little bit more detail. The limits for anybody is going to be, where do we put all this poo, this pee and poo potentially? Where do we store all of it? And are we going to have enough plastic bags? If you have to use 2 plastic bags every single time you go to the bathroom, that's quite a few plastic bags. So that's your choke point. So options are to use your own toilet, which is the picture that you're seeing on the screen. This actually is my toilet. I could potentially throw some towels in the bottom of my toilet, sop up all that water, throw it in a plastic bag, and plan on throwing it away. And then I can line my own toilet with plastic bags. Let's see, or you can make a twin bucket toilet. The smell of our waste is because we mix these 2 ingredients. We mix pee and poo. That's when the smell is really bad. If you can keep them separate, it's not so bad. So we're going to talk about the twin bucket toilet system, which does separate those 2. And once again, I'm going to throw a video on.
Hi, I'm Ann Forrest, and I would like to talk to you about sanitation after big disasters. So if we have a large earthquake, when the ground shakes, pipes break. Remember that, when the ground shakes, pipes break. And if sewer pipes break or water pipes break, we are not going to be able to use our toilets like normal. And that is very, very common and probably will happen. The pipes in the ground need some work. Every time they're dug up for some kind of repair, the city puts back in much more resilient pipe. But to pull all those out and replace them all is just too large of a job for the city to take on at one time. So we are replacing them piecemeal. So the problem with not having sewer pipes and not having water pipes that are working is that drinking water is super important, and also sanitation is really important. It's something that is immediate. You're going to need to go to the bathroom the first day after the earthquake. And it's a long-term solution. We can't pull up all those pipes and put down new ones overnight. So it will be days to weeks before any of us have a better sanitation system. So this is something that you and your family need to think about how you're going to handle it at home. And the system I want to talk to you about is the twin bucket toilet system. So just like the name, twin buckets. If your household is coordinated enough to split up these 2 products, then you're in good shape. And the value of splitting them up is you can decrease the amount you have to store. Because again, this is a long-term problem. You're going to have to store the byproducts of our human bodies for a long time. So let's talk about urine. This one's the simple one. Urine is mostly water and mostly sterile. What you can do is pee in the bucket and throw it outside. Men, you can just go outside and pee on the ground. But if you'd like to sit down, this is how you do it. This is a pool noodle, or pipe installation works really well. A long noodle, you're going to cut it in half, and you're going to make sure that there's a slit down the length side, just one side of it. This goes around the lip of the bucket, and it cushions it so that you're not sitting on the lip of a bucket. So this is your urine bucket, your pee bucket. It is good to go just like it is. So you sit down, you do your business, you pee into here, the toilet paper goes into the poo bucket. So we'll talk about that in a second. If you have any water that you're not planning on drinking, like it's coming out of a pool or a hot tub or something like that, you know that you cannot get it clean enough to drink, then add some water to this, swish it around, and throw it out on the ground. This will not hurt anything. So that's how you handle pee. This is the stuff we really are concerned about after big disasters. This is what makes people sick. This is where the pathogens are. So we are really, really concerned about containing this and keeping people healthy after a large disaster. So let's talk about how to do that. Again, pool noodle. So you're going to cushion the rim. And for this one, we're going to put 2 bags over it. These are 2 plastic bags, just regular 13-gallon trash bags, kitchen trash bags. A 13-gallon bag fits really well inside a 5-gallon bucket. So I have 2 of them. I'm going to put it over the pool noodle just to make sure that stays nice and clean. And then I'm ready to go. So family members are going to sit down. They're going to use this poo bucket. They're going to sanitize their hands afterwards because we want everybody to stay nice and healthy. After every time you use these 2 plastic bags, you're going to put something on top. And this isn't something you need to store. You don't need to buy this stuff. You'll be able to figure out what you can use after a disaster. So some examples are kitty litter, sand, ashes, dirt, flour, a cake mix you're never going to make, baking soda, dry laundry detergent, anything like that. Just sprinkle it over the top. The reason for that is you're trying to dry out the poo and you're trying to keep down the smell. So there's nothing fancy about it. You're just trying to help the system be a little less icky. So family member sits down, does their business, sprinkles a little bit over the top, and you can use these 2 bags for a while, whether it's 1 day or 3 days, depending on the size of your family. You can use these 2 bags for a while so you won't run out, which is a really good part. So once you think this is full enough, and that's about halfway, you want to take both bags out. You're going to squeeze out all the air because, again, this system is really good because it reduces the amount that you have to store. So squeeze out all the air, tie it off, and you're going to put it outside. You're going to put it out in a compost bin, a recycle bin, your regular trash can, whatever you have where you can keep it safe from kids and rodents. So the goal is to put this outside and the city will pick it up eventually. That is the guidance to us. They will pick it up eventually. So the other things I have in the twin bucket toilet besides hand sanitizer and those plastic bags, disinfecting wipes. You want to keep this whole system really clean and keep your family healthy. Disposable gloves are a nice idea. Toilet paper, maybe some feminine hygiene products if you want to store those in here. Another option is to buy a toilet seat cover. These can be found in camping stores. This is meant to fit on a 5-gallon bucket, so it works really well.
So that's the twin bucket toilet system. Couple things, a couple updates, I think, from that video that was made a while back. I'm a little concerned about using kitty litter, and I don't have a cat, so I'm not an expert on kitty litter. But my concern is if kitty litter gets wet, it kind of turns into concrete with really sharp edges, and I don't know that that's the best thing in a bag of poo. I would hate for the plastic bag to be ripped by kitty litter, so I would just maybe caution you against that. Really depends on the kind of kitty litter you have. Toilet paper definitely goes in the 2 plastic bags with the poo. If you're in an apartment complex or any kind of shared living situation, even a single family home, it doesn't matter. You want to designate some kind of bin outside. Again, it could be your compost bin, your recycle bin, your regular trash can, whatever it is you've got. Label it poo or poop or feces or whatever you want to call it. But the only thing you want to put in that container is feces, is poo, because when the city picks that up, they're going to treat that a little bit differently than they would regular trash. So they want to know that it's not mixed up, that it's regular trash and poo are not mixed into the same containers, and they want to be able to treat it differently. And again, it's because that's where the pathogens are that make people sick. That's the public health disaster after the natural disaster that we're trying to avoid. Keeping all that poo contained and everybody's hands really, really clean. On the screen, there's a couple examples of other ideas of how to make this whole system a little bit easier, I guess. I think this fold-up chair with a seat, with a toilet seat on it, I think that's genius because it folds up. I mean, how beautiful. Think about how your household is going to handle pee and poo because it is immediate. Everybody poops and it's going to last for a very long time. So think about that situation. Take some measures now to make sure that you've got that handled if we ever need it. Class next week is on communicating after an earthquake. So when cell phone towers and that kind of stuff are not working well, let's talk about some strategies of how to talk to loved ones. And then early earthquake warning. Class is Wednesday, February 7th at 7 o'clock. That's it for tonight. I'm going to stop sharing